Hello, I'm Dynast Amir.
So what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? We got one of the old friends of the show, a brother, Dynast Amir. Now, I remember I went to Dynast, he invited me to his house one time in Atlanta, and I appreciate that brother for inviting me into his home. He definitely treated me like family, and I greatly appreciate that. And Dynast is back here again. So, Dynast, we appreciate you coming back, brother.
Hey, thank you for allowing me to come back on, Phil. It's always a pleasure. It's been too long. It's been, what, a couple years now since I've been on, maybe?
Been a while. Been a while.
Yeah, it's been a minute. So
yes,
thank
sir.
you for allowing me to come back on and grace your platform.
Yeah, no problem. Like, for people that, like I said, that maybe, they've came on after the fact that you've come on and they don't know much about, what you're doing or your channel or anything, just to give people the 411.
No, so I have a platform called SEARCH of UHURU, Search for UHURU. And what we're a bridge that connects the diaspora back with Africa. So I've been on this journey now for 11 years. So I've been encouraging Black people, people of the diaspora to reconnect back to the continent. Also, I have a tour company as well called Donfo. If you visit donfo.africa, you'll learn more about us. And what we're doing, we're bringing people to the continent and allowing them to experience Africa firsthand. And I've also recently released a documentary, SEARCH of UHURU, One Man's Journey to Uncover His African Roots. And it's streaming now at searchforuhuru.com. It's streaming now at searchforuhuru.com. So that's everything just about in a nutshell. I'm a modern day Renaissance man, so I do more, but we'll focus on that for the time being.
All right, so you finally chronicled all that footage that you had and put in a documentary.
Right, and explained and broke everything down and took everybody on my journey. The condensed journey of 11 years into an hour and 20 minutes. So yeah, that's what it is.
I remember, ladies and gentlemen, the first time I saw Dynast, one of his videos, and I think he was in Senegal actually, and he was eating street food. And I said, what is this brother eating? So I was watching, and he was eating a sandwich, and all them freaking flies was on that sandwich, and he was still eating. I said, oh my God, no. This brother not eating the sandwich. And I'm like, who is this brother? You remember that?
Yeah, I remember that. Don't knock the sandwich, man. The sandwich was good.
Man, look, flies gross me out, brother. Like you said, you better than me. Because I started seeing flies, I'm like, okay, you can have it. Because I know where flies go. You know what I'm saying? So you really immerse yourself into the culture.
Absolutely. I think it's important to do that. Start from the village to the penthouse. But because the reality is, you're not going to experience that authentic culture in the city, in a modern city, in modern Africa. So if you want to experience the authentic culture, you got to test your comfort zone and go to the villages in the country, or the bush, as they call it.
See, and that's why I have a little pushback on that, which you just said, because traditionally in America, everybody thinks, well, the real Africa is going to the village. But I believe the village is part of it. I believe the village, is great. But also we do have a 21st century Africa too. And a lot of the village do come into 21st century Africa. A lot of people that actually get into the modern age, they come from the village, right? I mean, you know that. So me personally, I'm the guy that's probably going to show you more of the city, more of the luxury and all of that. And you probably be the guy I even tell people, if you want a village style tour, I direct them to you. I say, because that's just, I don't do that. I say, that's just your expertise. And I think that's something you got to be passionate about. I got people say, come to the village. I said, I'll go visit the village, but I got to go myself right back to the city. I know me. I don't even do the country in America. Won't do it.
I agree to a point. So now Phil, I'm all about balance. So we can spend some time in the village, we can spend some time in the city, but I'm not going to exclude the the traditional or village life and experience of Africa. I'm not going to leave that out. But we could do both. We can have a balance. There we go, Phil. We can have a balance of both. I think that's fair.
But from what I saw from your content originally, that's what you like to do, though. And I think that's nothing wrong with you saying, look, my focus is the village. I'm going to go visit all the villages on the African continent. I'm going to participate in all the rituals. Somebody got to do it because the white folks go do it, right?
Right.
So there's nothing wrong with you saying the village is my forte. There's nothing wrong with it. I think we should all have our own maybe expertise in something.
Now, for me personally, yeah, the village is my forte. But as far as the tours go, when I bring people over, we do a balance of both, because some people just can't handle the culture shock when I bring them into the village. So we're gonna have a balance of both when you travel with me, because some people, even though they see the videos, once they immerse into it and I bring them to the villages and they experience it firsthand, a lot of them aren't ready for it's a culture shock. So that's why I say, me personally, I'm good. I can do it. I'll focus on the village. When I bring people to the continent, it's going to be a balance of both.
Now, do you have some culture shock stories? Because I know my own culture shock story, but what culture shock story that you have seen when you brought somebody to the village, like how they initially reacted?
Well, for me personally, the first time I went to Senegal, and I remember I flew in, I think it was, I fly Turkish Airlines. What did I fly? I forgot what I flew. And so, they picked me up from the airport in the car and we drove to a city called Tuba. So we get to Tuba. I mean, it's like 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning. And I'm hungry. I'm starving. And so they say, okay, brother, we got food coming. I said, okay, cool. So they bring out the food and it's all just a one pan. No forks, no spoons, no nothing. They just go in, they just dig it in with their hands. And you know what? I say, I'm hungry. I got to eat. I'm going to immerse myself and experience the culture. So I went in and I started digging with my hands, with my hands, and eating with them, right alongside with them. And there was literally like maybe 6 of us per container or plate. So stuff like that, for me, was a shock. But I just composed myself and I did it. And now I'm used to it. That's all I do when I'm in Tuba, when I'm with my friends. That's how we eat. In Senegal, we all share, and it's similar. They do that. It's similar to Ethiopia as well, from what I noticed. That everybody eats together with their hands. So, but for me, that was the first time doing that.
Get the injera and all that, and you just get it and pick the food up and eat it like that.
Right,
but,
exactly.
Yeah, but see, but to me, just in my opinion, the way the Ethiopians eat, it's different than what at least I've seen with how West Africa eats with their hands. They eat like soups and rice and all this stuff with their hands, versus the injera is almost like a tortilla almost, but it's not a tortilla, way healthier than that. And it's kind of clean how you pick it up and just, you eat it, just from what I've seen and what I've experienced in Ethiopia.
I guess you could say that, because primarily with in Senegal, it's rice, meat with the sauce. So there isn't a bread or a tortilla like to use to help scoop everything up. You just dig in with your hands with the rice or meat, sauce, soup, whatever's in front of you. But listen, it's the best. So I'll take my Senegalese cheb yap, cheb jin, mafe against any Ethiopian food any day of the week.
I haven't had it yet, so I'm gonna have to eventually get to it, because I definitely got to get to West Africa for sure. I mean, because just even the new travel channel I just kind of got started, which we're gonna be filming a lot for in Kenya. So yeah, I definitely got to get out there. But my culture shock experience for me was in Ethiopia, and the way they was moving for me, because coming from the United States and in Houston, we used to moving like this. And when I don't see people moving like that, and people moving slow and taking their time, and it starts to like wig me out. Because, yeah, I move like that in my personal life. I'm like, I gotta go. We got stuff to do. I gotta be here at that time, be here at that time. And then killing at the time, I was just like freaking out about that. and he say, "Hey, calm down. We are in Africa. They don't move like they move in the United States." I say, "Well, look how, but they don't. What about the time? You know, my thing is the time. You know, I'm so programmed the time."
That must be Ethiopia thing, because in West Africa, when you're in Ghana, when you're in Nigeria, when you're in Senegal, they move it.
Yeah.
So that must be Ethiopian thing.
Maybe, because I was like, and that once I calmed down, I said, okay, wait a minute, this is kind of how they move. Then I say, okay, and I thought about it. I said, okay, well, maybe this is where color people time come from. Because I know some people, even in my family, you tell them be somewhere at 4 o'clock, they're gonna show up at 5, 6. You know.
Okay, that's what you mean. Okay.
Yeah. So I said, well, this where color people time come from. You know, because I didn't got so used to that just with the career I have, and then even the way I move in my personal life with business and operating the multiple things that I have. Like time has to be, of the essence.
Okay, so you mean as far as being on time, as far as moving?
Yeah. Be like,
or you mean just every day out in the street, just
Like for instance, let's say if I got an appointment with you at 2 o'clock, I'm probably gonna show up at 1:30 because I have the mindset. You're early, you're on time, you're late.
Right. Okay. So yeah, you're right. You are right about that. That's CP time does originate from Africa. You brought that over with us. You brought that over with us. So you are right.
Yeah. So you end up becoming a citizen of 2 countries?
Correct. Sierra Leone and Nigeria.
Okay, because a lot of people say, well, they don't give citizenship. Well, so kind of explain people, what's the process of getting citizenship? Because some people say, okay, well, he got it. Well, how can I get it? Whatever country that, you may want to divulge in.
So I'm actually taking a group to Sierra Leone on Sunday. And with Sierra Leone, if you take a DNA test through African ancestry, and if your results link back to Sierra Leone, you're eligible for citizenship. So they do the swearing in ceremony twice a year. So you have to go to Sierra Leone. There's a civics course you have to take. Then, of course, you have to get fingerprinted, go through, your biometrics, fingerprinted through, through the passport or immigration. And then you have to get sworn in by the president of Sierra Leone, and he gives you your passport when you get sworn in. So that's for Sierra Leone. That's as far as countries in Africa that have a streamlined process for citizenship for the diaspora. Sierra Leone is the only country that has a streamlined process that's pretty that's available to all those who qualify in Africa.
Well, some people will say, well, if they serious about us in the diaspora coming back, why won't they create a program or similar to Sierra Leone or just in general? Why won't they create a program? But then some of my people I know in the African continent would say, I didn't really know people wanted to come back like that.
Right. I mean, the average Black American is not interested in Africa. I mean, it's a small few.
That's
to the point, I was going to do a video on it today. I mean, you got Black folks saying they're Hebrews, they're Native Americans, they're Moors, they're Olmecs. So, I mean, the majority of Black Americans, the vast majority have no connection or desired connection back to Africa. So,
yeah. But see,
I mean, if we were serious, I would say if Black Americans were serious, I mean, we would all just as how serious we were this past election, as far as getting Stacey Abrams elected, getting Joe Biden elected, taking our booties to the polls, no voting, no fucking. If we put that same energy into reconnecting back to the continent or returning to the continent, more opportunities will come about for citizenship. But it's just we're not serious. The average African American is not interested.
Yeah, that is true. That's why, beyond which, in a lot of the things that I say or what I used to say, I don't say anymore because I just had to realize that the majority of them just want to be here and they don't want to do nothing else, and that's fine, and I respect that. Those who don't, those who want to have a second address, I'm a firm believer of a second address, and having options, then that's the people, like I said, we reach out to. Or the people that want to go on these trips. But I always tell any Black American, at least go to the continent one time in your whole life. If you never go back, just go one time. At least on your deathbed, you say, I got to see the motherland myself. And you can stay in your neighborhood. You can stay in your state. Never go nowhere if you don't want to, but at least just once. Just once go.
It should at least be. It should be on the bucket list, but for me, I'm going every 2-3 months.
Oh wow, yeah. See, I'm trying to see. I got to get to your level. I'm not there yet. You know, like because this year, well, no, I went to South Africa back in March, and then I'll be going to Kenya here. You know, well, this later in the week or whatever. I think Turkey I did in January. So you know, yeah. Sure, and that's a lot for me in 1 year. I never went to 3 different countries in 1 year, but hey, you know, I plan on doing a whole lot more starting 2023 and on.
Yes, sir.
What I'm happy about, though, for me, you know, I don't have, because I know you got, you know, a little one. Have you taken your little one to
Not
some
yet.
of
I haven't took Master yet. Yeah, I haven't took him yet. Not yet. But soon. He'll be going soon.
Okay, yeah, because it'd be my little girl's first time going to an African country, and because she went to Turkey in January, and she don't stop talking about it, you know, because we got caught in a snowstorm and all of that, so that was just an experience, right, for her. But yeah, she going and she's like, oh daddy, I can't wait, to go to Kenya. I looked at all the beaches and I looked at, because she on her tablet, like Googling everything, and daddy, look at this. I said, yeah, baby, we go do it. I can ride the camel too. And so yeah, she's getting so excited. So you say your little boy, you say you're going to take him, you said what, maybe next year?
Eventually, it won't be next year, but I'm gonna bring him. Eventually, take him to Nigeria and Sierra Leone.
Okay. Well, you've been going to, you say Nigeria in Sierra Leone and place like that. Do you have a property there yourself?
Not yet, but it's coming. It's coming. I'm very, so how you are picky about, I guess, the way you want to travel when you go to Africa. I'm very picky in regards to what properties I'm going to buy. So,
right. And you should be.
Yeah. So I'm very, very picky because the property buying process, in Africa, outside of South Africa, isn't as transparent or streamlined at times. So you got to be very careful. And I'm very, 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 very picky and conscious when it comes to that. So I just haven't found something. Like I'll go look at a property like in Sierra Leone. I went and looked at a property, but then the paperwork was funny. And then they were trying to explain to me how the paperwork ain't funny, but it was obvious when you read the paperwork that the paperwork was funny. So, you got to be careful.
So basically what you're saying is the regulations isn't tight about, the housing situation. That's basically what you're saying.
Well, you have to be careful. Right. You just have to be careful. I mean, so prime example, when I was in Sierra Leone, I forgot what happened. The person's name that was on the paperwork had passed away, and it wasn't properly transferred to whoever was going to inherit it. But they were still trying to, hey, you'll be fine. I'm just like, no. It don't work like that. So,
yeah, because I know, and I did some research in Kenya. When I talked to a realtor, that we can get property, but it'd be on a lease.
Right
over there. Yeah, because you're not a citizen. From what I talked to a realtor last time, I know in South Africa, they kind of like America on some things. Like they have a mortgage system and all of that, and I think South Africa like you said, the closest to America on how to get a house, basically.
Right, it is for the most part.
Yeah, and from my experience, South Africa is extremely attractive for how we move in America. And if you I always tell people, if you don't want the culture shock per se, I think Johannesburg is probably a good place to start, then venture yourself out, but that's just my experience. I don't know, maybe you didn't like, because I know some people don't like South Africa like that.
I mean, South Africa was good. I think if you want to experience, and this is my personal opinion, if it's your first time going to the continent and if you want to experience Africa in regards to the culture, I personally want to go to South Africa. But if you want to go to Africa just to say, hey, I went to Africa, but I want to be comfortable. I don't want to, go outside of my comfort level. I want the way things work in America. I want to experience that in Africa. South Africa, no problem.
Yeah, but you can get outside from what some of my, people in South Africa tell me, same thing like Kenya. They say once you get out of Johannesburg and go to those other cities outside, that's when you're gonna start going to the villages and things like that. Because it's not, it's not all just Johannesburg and Durban in Cape Town. You know, it's a little bit more to it. Now, shout out to my people in South Africa. Like I said, I definitely try to come back and see them in March of next year because I want to take the family with that too. My dad, he's never been either. So I said, okay, well let me take him. I had to twist his arm. He was kind of acting like some of the Black Americans. I'm good right here. Look, man, just come on, brother.
All right.
It's like why exactly. We can get you to go visit. I tell people we can get you to go visit Paris all day long, but you can't get you to go to Africa
all day long.
Why do you think our people fight that so much? Why do you think they'd rather go to London and Paris instead of going and visit an African country?
Because it hasn't been because London, Paris, Thailand, Mexico, Thailand, all these other countries, it has a stamp of approval from white people. When you think about Africa, what do you think of? Rebels, starvation, poverty, no infrastructure. That's what the media is putting out there. So so traveling to Africa hasn't received the stamp of approval from, white media like traveling to everywhere else. That's why.
But good and well as I know is that once you get out there, white folks are there. That's the thing. White people visit African countries.
You're right.
Because it's because I remember the first time I went, and I was like, wait a minute, hold on. They're always telling us to go back to Africa, but then when I finally get here, you're here.
Right. And I was telling someone the other day, the first time I went to Senegal, I think I might have saw 4 white people.
Uh-huh.
Now when I go, white people everywhere. Everywhere. All over.
Exactly. And I'm looking at it, I say, okay, they coming, they enjoying themselves. I remember like I said, Lord, boy, I'm telling you what I really saw them at, which I was told that before I got there. You need to go see in Cape Town, man. I know you've been to Cape Town. When I got to Cape Town, I was like, where am I at?
Yeah, you're in Europe.
I told you. And I had to go on Google, look at the demographics to make sure where am I at. But no, they were like 15% of the city population. But I was like, I'll just because in Johannesburg you see them, but not like that, not like you see them in Cape Town. So I'm like, I have some people say, nah, I'm good on Cape Town. I don't want to be down there, all that because they act a certain way, and I'm like,
But Cape Town's a nice city. I like Cape. South Africa's nice, guys. I'm not hating on South Africa. South Africa's really nice.
No, I love South Africa. I can go buy a house down there, brother. I saw that. I told my wife I can get a division of our company in South Africa for sure. The infrastructure is good. Using the credit stuff is almost about the same. Like I think South Africa, just in my opinion, is probably the most conducive I've seen so far for business. I think it is.
Listen, I agree. I completely agree. I agree because the system is so similar to America, so I completely agree. Everything for the most part is transparent, straightforward. This is the price. This is what you got to pay. All the haggling and the back and forth and all of that is not really there. It's just it's like America.
Right. Well, let's talk about something real quick. Because I know something you talk about a lot on your channel outside of Africa. You talk about a lot of politics on your channel, a lot. Okay.
Right.
And you live in Georgia, and you've been seeing, they tried to, before the election, try to blame black men, ahead of time. I knew Stacey Abrams was going to lose ahead of time.
I said the same thing. Who actually thought she was going to win? And this is no attack on Stacey Abrams, but I tell people this, and your viewers, whoever watch this, might disagree. I personally think Stacey Abrams' campaign was more cringe than Herschel Walker. Now, people will laugh at Herschel Walker when he pulled out his badge, but if you listen to some of the stuff Stacey Abrams was saying, like Stacey Abrams got on stage and said to the effect that the heartbeat in a fetus isn't real and it's made up so men can have control over women's bodies. Like, who's feeding you this? Like, who's feeding you this stuff?
The
And so,
DNC.
the community, especially specifically the Black community, they'll attack Herschel Walker with all types of memes because of his badge. But when it comes to some of the ridiculous comments Stacey Abrams was making, they were silent. But when she said that, I'm just like, what? Like, where do you get where do you get this from?
Yeah, so it's those Democrat talking points that they have, and so some of them, because I remember on an election night, I had one of them come on my page, man, like, I just want you to admit that you're a Republican. I'm like, what? So just because I told you my strategy is a protest vote strategy. It's like remove the votes from the Democrat Party and go it on and give them to the other side for a time, to show the Democrats that you don't have our votes like that. Right? And then create a bidding war for our vote. That is like the perfect strategy. That way both of them would have to try to give you something.
I agree.
But if you say, okay, I'm gonna do that strategy, it's like some of our people love oppression, man. Some of them love it. They don't want to try to do anything. And I always ask them, what the Democrats have done for Black people? That party is not promoting upward mobility, especially for Black men. We have been, so propagandized. We've been told we're stupid as Black men. We don't know what we're talking about. We need to fall in line behind the women, Tiffany Cross. That's really the mantra, how they've been feeling about Black men. And when Black men move with their feet away from them, all of a sudden they shock.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, it's just, voting Democrat is just a part of the culture now. Like, voting Democrat is Black culture. So, that's why there's no shifting from it. Because if you notice, every other group, it's almost 50-50 in regards to how they vote. Black people are the only people where it's the vast majority. So it's to the point now where it's part of the culture. It's the culture.
That you said that, you're 100% right, because I said in a video the other day that Black people, you can be on freaking OnlyFans, they'll still talk to you. You can be a doggone Pookie and Ray Ray, they'll still talk to you. You can say you don't even believe in Jesus and they'll talk to you. But let you say you don't want to vote for Democrat and they'll cast you out the family.
Done. You're done. Finished.
Isn't that crazy?
Crazy.
I mean,
I could be a rapper and talk about how I destroy my community, sell dope, drive-bys, no problem. But I say I'm not voting for Stacey Abrams. Not only are you made fun of and canceled, then they also say you don't like Black women.
Yeah, it's insane. It's utterly insane. But the thing is, let's call it what it is. Stacey Abrams wasn't the person to run. Just to be honest, she was not the person to run. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm going to be very, very honest with you. Some people may not like what I'm about to say. America is a certain way when it comes to candidates, especially when it comes to Black women. Okay, they would have done better running Keisha to do that.
Let me tell you why they didn't run Keisha. Let me tell you what's going on with, and this is my theory, and I could be wrong, but people who are watching this prove me wrong. If you notice, the Democratic Party, they're either getting behind the women who are in interracial relationships or who are part of the community, the LGBTQ community, or, Stacey Abrams example. I don't know if she's married. I don't know her situation. That's who they're getting behind. Keisha Lance Bottoms, Black woman, Black husband, Black family. She's only going to get, right in today's Democratic Party, she's only going to get so far.
Yeah, I just think more people would have, like if Keisha would have came and I think Keisha would have had more of a softer tone on some things than because Stacey Abrams come across as very hard in some ways. You just this is the way she talked, but Keisha I'm just saying, and if Keisha, I think she should have just even stayed mayor of Atlanta. I don't think she should have just bowed out.
Yeah, she should have. Yeah, she should have ran for mayor of Atlanta again. But
because I'm like, who told her not to run? Because it seemed like somebody told her, because in the polls they said that she would have overwhelmingly won.
I think what happened that summer of what happened with George Floyd, that took a toll on a lot of people. You know, especially here in Atlanta, you had the of course the riots. You had the little girl that got because of when I think the guy's name was Rashard Brooks.
Yeah,
Rashard Brooks, you know, black man was drunk or intoxicated, fell asleep. I think in a Wendy's parking lot. Police come knock on the window. What you doing? Which is normal routine. He fights the police, takes their taser. He gets. I saw the video footage. I mean, it was. If I was a police officer, you know, and I have friends who are police officers, in my honest opinion, it was justified. We then go burn down the city, not the entire city, but riot, start burning down the city, and then you had the situation where the little girl got killed. And I'm pretty sure after that, she was just like, I'm done.
Well, you know, from what I've seen, I've covered many police videos in the past, and I've seen what they do to white suspects versus black suspects. Anything like that, Rashard Brooks didn't have a gun. He didn't have a gun at all. So I don't, just my opinion, this is where we differ. I don't view this justified because they don't kill white people like that. I've seen white people take their gun from them and still don't blast they behind. So if you're not going to blast a white person for even taking your gun, and I've seen them fist fighting white police officers, and they still don't do them anything. Who was it? There was a shooter. I forgot the name of this guy. He had did a mass shooting. They arrested him like, oh well, and I'm not talking about Dylan Roof. It was another guy. They did. I forgot the guy's name, and they just arrested him like they didn't blast him like they should have blasted him on sight, right? But if they don't do them that way, then I don't expect you to do our people that way. But at the same time, because now Paul Howard was running, and you had Fannie Willis, right? They didn't vote right. Paul Howard. They got Fannie Willis in. She didn't even want to take up the case. She passed to a special prosecutor, right?
Right, and they found the police officers not guilty.
Of course they were, because I knew the moment I saw that it was a white man that she turned it over to instead of her doing her job, you know, because she knew good. See, this was Fannie was smart. She knew good and well if she would have did that, her career would have been done in Atlanta. She knew it,
right? But I mean, if you look at the footage, you know, black or white, I mean, it was justified. So she didn't want to be the one to come out and say it was justified. That's why she passed the buck to somebody else.
Yeah, well, like I said, we differ on that. You know, I'll just leave it at that. But so Keisha, you know, even though she was up in the polls, you know, she still didn't, you know, and did people ask her that question, like, why is she not running? If she's, you know, she would have won easily.
I don't know. Nobody really questioned. Like I said, my theory, and I could be wrong. I think that summer, that George Floyd summer, you know, a summer of rage, whatever you want to call it, BLM, and then of course what happened with Rashard Brooks and the little girl. I think it took a toll on her to say, you know what, I'm done.
You think she ever try to run again?
I don't know, because you know, Kasim Reed tried to run again. After, you know, because he was mayor before Keisha Lance Bottoms, and then he just tried to run again this past election, but Andre Dickens won. So I don't know. You never know. She might come back and run, or she just might be done. You know, who knows?
Yeah, she up there with Biden, and then I'm gonna say, why Keisha up there with Biden? I seen that. Yeah. I'm like, she's like tarnishing her legacy being up there with them people. Because the only way you can be up there with the Democrats like that, you literally got to bow down. You can't exactly. Like, what black politician do you know is really standing up for black people like that?
No,
exactly. Because you have to be Democrat first. You cannot be, you know, thinking about
black first.
People.
Exactly. You got to be Democrat first.
And that's why I'm a firm believer of all black politicians need to go. Because I said this: if we would focus cleaning the house first. Like, let's primary the Congressional Black Caucus. Let's get all of them out and replace them with some good people. Then they will know we mean business. But
what happened?
I even seen the voters down here in Houston, how they feel about Sheila Jackson Lee and Al Green. I hate to say it, well, I will say it. The older crowd, they the one keep them in power.
Right. I think being a politician here in America, because I remember my grandma, she retired like when she turned 62, 65. My mom retired in her early 60s. Black politicians and politicians in general, but specifically Black politicians, are the only group that will die in office. You had John Lewis, you had Cummings in Maryland. Like,
Yeah,
these
Elijah
people
Cummings.
are dying in office. They're not retiring. They're not saying, "Hey, let's get the next generation ready. Everyone, I'm going to retire soon. Let's get behind Phil, or let's get behind Dynast." They're literally dying in office.
Yeah, and it's not just them. It was also, you know, a lot of the white politicians. That baby boom, I know that baby boomer generation, they do not want to give up power. They
Right.
don't. It's like they're afraid of what Gen X, Gen Z, and also millennials. They're afraid of that group. They're afraid because they know good and well we come into power like that. They know good and well America's going to change for them, and it has to.
Exactly.
You know, I mean, like we look at, you know, Biden, you know, that man don't know if he's coming or going sometime, you know, if you take his medicine. Nancy Pelosi, she's the same way. She don't know if she's coming or going. But she said that she agrees. They say, hey, well, you know, you're not going to be Speaker of the House no more. You're going to finally step down. No, I'm not stepping down. I'm like, so no young woman can do that job? You got to stay in it? Like, I don't get it.
Right. Exactly. They would rather die in office.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. So, you know, you definitely, you know, for people to get information also about everything you got going on, what can they go to get that?
Go to searchforuhuru.com. Searchforuhuru.com, and you know, you'll learn about what we're doing, what all we have going on, the documentary, the travel, the tours. So go to searchforuhuru.com.
And I'll call, so the other website is donfo.africa.
Donfo.africa is a tour company, but if you go to searchforuhuru.com, they'll have links to the documentary, to the travel company. Everything will be right there.
Okay. All right. So definitely, ladies and gentlemen, we want to make sure to go to searchforuhuru.com. Make sure you go to Search for Uhuru on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel.
Please subscribe and buy the documentary and come travel.
Oh yeah, and buy the documentary. Buy it. You know, we want to support, you know, our brother out here, you know, with documentaries, and maybe inspire you to want to visit the African continent for the first time. So, Dynast, we definitely thank you for joining us on the show today, man. Greatly appreciate it.